Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's going to be another trying to fix video, another video where I've got something which is faulty and I'm going to do my best to fix it. Now, as I say with all these videos, just take it for entertainment. A lot of the time I may not be doing it correctly, safely, and I might end up breaking the thing. I am not a professional in these things, I just do it just for fun, just because I'd like to try and fix things. So with this one here, this is actually owned by my dad, and he gave me this because he was about to throw it away. He said I was going to take it to the dump to get rid of it because it stopped working. Then he remembered that I do these videos and he said if I wanted to take a look at it, and I thought, why not? So what we have here is a heater. So the idea would be, instead of heating your whole house up, maybe if you were just in one room working from home or something, you could have this near you and it would just heat up the area where you are rather than wasting the energy heating up the whole house. So with this one here, what he said was that it's got 3 bars on it and you can turn them on and off here, all 400 watts each, and he basically said to begin with all 3 were working, and then bit by bit one went, then another one went, then the last one went. He said sometimes if you moved it or wiggled it around the place, I think he said they came back on, or 1 or 2 came back on or something. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting one. Now when he brought it round, I did actually see that there are 3 lamps on the inside here, so it might be as simple as changing them out, but I don't know if they're readily available. You know, they might end up being more expensive than the actual unit itself, or it might be nothing to do with that, because he also says that it's got a safety thing where if you knock it over it will turn itself off, and if you have a look underneath it here, there is a little button here, so I presume when it falls over this thing goes out like that and it cuts the supply, and I'm thinking this is where the lead from the plug is, so I'm thinking it must just go straight into the switch here and then go on to the rest of it. I'm not quite sure why it clicks. I don't know whether it moves when it's turned on or whether you put it into a position or not, I don't know. But let's first of all, let's verify the fault. So let's plug it in, UK style plug, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I've turned it on there and nothing's happening. Don't want to shake it around too much. Right, okay, so there's no indication that there's any power there. There's no light or anything, so maybe electricity is getting to these points here, but the bulbs have failed, or the lamps, you know, those heater elements, whatever they are, or maybe there's no power getting into it. So let's start by taking this apart. So obviously we're going to unplug it because we don't want to get electrocuted. Right, I think what I'm going to do is, to begin with, I'm just going to take a little look at this switch down here just to make sure there is power getting into this. Oh, actually that's a special, need a special screw for that. It's like a Y-shaped screw. Not sure if I've got any of them. Right, okay, I'm using a Nintendo bit, you know, the tri-wing screwdriver. Yeah, and that's going to work. Now, even if it is just replacing the lamps, I'm actually quite intrigued what the inside of this looks like. I think it's going to be very straightforward. So I reckon it's just going to be 240 volts going up to each of those lights via this switch here. Right, okay, so here we have a very simple switch on a little spring here. And if you have a look, all that's doing is, remember I've got this unplugged so I don't risk electrocution, all that's happening is, can you see out of this plug here, we've got the brown, which is live, we've got the blue, which is neutral, and then hidden away just at the bottom there you can just see a tiny bit of the earth cable. And what they've done is they've taken the brown one and they've cut it and they've put this little switch in here with 2 copper contacts. So obviously one wire is going to the top contact, one wire is going to the bottom, and then it's permanently like that when the weight's on it. As soon as it topples over, the weight goes off it and it springs off like that. So that's what it's doing, it's breaking the contact there. All I've got to do is go onto the live terminal of the plug, and if you have a look, I've got neutral here, can you see the little N? And I've got live here, L. So this is the brown wire here, so I'm just going to use continuity on my meter between here and the contact there, and then we know whether that's okay or not. Right, so we've got this set to continuity, so if we go across here and press it together, you can now hear that we have got continuity. Yeah, so that means that definitely there's continuity on the brown wire between here, going through here, all the way up to here. That will also test the fuse as well. What I should have said is, to begin with, the best thing to test is the fuse by taking this off here and then just testing the fuse by going across it again with your leads like this. And if the fuse has continuity between it, you know it's okay. But because the fuse is on the brown wire, it means then that if it's between here and here, the fuse has to be okay. Right, so now I know that that switch is definitely fine. Right, now let's work on the back. So in here we've got a load of crosshead screws, so I'm just going to undo them all, and hopefully that will give me access to the lamps. Now that that switch is okay, I'm thinking it is going to be a problem with the lamps. The only other really thing it could be is the power switch here, because it'd be unlikely for all the three other power switches to go. So not the three, sorry, the three, power switches for each of the individual lamps. So I think unless it's the main switch up here, which must be the next one in line from the switch at the bottom there, I think it's going to turn out to be the lamps. I'm hoping we can test the lamps again just for continuity, and then that will verify it. Looks like there's screws at the bottom here, so maybe I have to undo these two things here. Oh, here we go. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to undo all these as well. Coming apart now. So we've got this out. Right, let me just see. Oh, look at this. I can see a little stripped wire. I don't think this is going to be the fault, but just to show you how things can be unsafe. Look at that wire there. You see it's been stripped where it's been screwed in. Yeah, because it wasn't shoved down to the side there. It was up here, and when it got screwed together, the screw touched that. So in theory, hold on now. Yeah, so what you could have done is you could have put a screwdriver into the back of that, and then the screwdriver itself would have been live. Right, okay. Right, so I'm going to have to put a bit of insulation tape around that, but let's see what's going on here. Right, so it looks like the main cable goes into this switch like we've already seen, and then it goes up through this channel here, and it goes onto this here. It looks like it's connected on. This is just like one of those kind of wire nuts to connect onto this blue wire, and then this brown cable gets connected onto the red cable there. That's the red cable that's slightly damaged here, so I need to sort that out. And then that red cable goes, let's just see which one it is, because there's two. It looks like it's, hold on, 1 second now. Right, it goes this one here, so this is where it goes to, and this is the main power, and then out of that one it links through one to another, and then you see, hold on, so let's say if you turned on the first one, so it brings the power through to that one, that gets linked onto there. Okay, so basically look, this white one then will go down to one of the, yes it does, there you go, the white one will go down to one of the tubes, you know, the heating elements, so that white one is going to feed the top one there. Then can you see the second switch is the red one, and that will feed this second tube here, and then the brown one is the third one, and that will feed this one here. So you've got 400 watts, 800 watts, 1200 watts between all of them, and then this side is just the neutrals that's been connected up here. So you can see that the electric cable from down here goes straight up and connects up that side there. So now I fully understand how this works, which is quite nice. In fact, what I was wondering to do for a channel, and you could, not for a channel, for like a series of videos, is not necessarily to fix broken things, but to see how things work. So now, for example, I fully understand how this works. but I'm going to try and fix it, hence the series of fix it videos. But I wonder whether anybody would be interested in just purely how things work. So for example, taking apart working stuff and then seeing how it works, because again, I haven't got a great knowledge in this sort of stuff, but I like knowing how things work and I like trying to work it out. So if you think that might make a good series of videos, please put it down in the comments below, and then maybe I could look into doing that. Right, okay, so what I have to do now is basically I'm going to do a continuity test again between different points. So, well, in fact, there's no real point of doing that. I might as well take off this grill here and take out the heater tubes and then see if there's continuity between them. Then at the same time, that will give me access to the contacts, and then I can get continuity between here and each of these ones here by just flipping the switches up there. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to lift up these little tabs here. I might as well just do that on one side. I don't need to do it on both, do I? There we go, and now I have access to them. Okay, so how do these? Yeah, easy peasy. Right, they will definitely be able to be replaced. In fact, look, I can see things moving around on the inside. I can actually see that the coil or whatever it is inside, the element, is broken. You can probably hear it. Listen to this. Yeah, so let's do a continuity test on here. So we're going to go between that point there and that point there, and of course there's nothing there. So maybe what my dad said is when he wobbled it, it started to work. Maybe if there was just one little break in it, by giving it a wobble, it might have temporarily connected together. So we're going to take that one out. Let's try this one. Again, I can hear and also see that the element's broken on the inside. And again, no continuity. And lastly, this one here. And also they're labelled up here, 230 volts, 400 watts. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to measure that to see how long it is, and then just see if I can get replacements. I'm pretty sure I can, because looking at these, they just look like something that would be quite standard. And again, no continuity there. So 100% they are not working. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do continuity between the live and each of the points here, because obviously there's going to be continuity on the neutral regardless. Listen to this. See, no matter what the switch does up here, there's going to be continuity because that switch isn't broken. So I'm going to have to hold this on here, and then I'm going to go across here, but I also, remember, I have to press in the button at the bottom here. So I'm going to have to try to do this like so. So now there's going to be nothing here until I turn it on. And now I hit the first switch, and that should allow continuity to there, but not these two. Now do this one, the second switch, yes, and the third switch. There we go, so now they're all on. They're all switched individually. Now I need to measure this and then go online and see how much they cost. So I'm going to be looking for something that's around about 200 millimeters, so 20 centimeters. Maybe it's going to be taken possibly from the ceramic bit at the edge there. So if that's the case, I'm looking at 195 millimeters. So I'm going to look for something around about those measurements. That's 400 watts. So I found the ones on eBay. You can see here 195 millimeters times 10 millimeters, 220 to 240 volts. So that's my ones. You get 3 of them. That's 400 watts. You see it there, and 195 millimeters. So that's definitely the right one. And if you have a look here, they're £4.48, and that's for 3. So it's well worth doing in this instance. I don't know how long they're going to last, but at that sort of price, it's not too bad, is it? So all I have to do now is put a little bit of insulation tape on that bare exposed wire. So now all I need to do is put a little bit of insulation tape, this is electrical tape, on the exposed wire. And then when I put it back together, I need to make sure that all the wires are well tucked away from all these screw posts. Okay, that's fine. There's no actual damage to the copper core on the inside. It is just the insulation around the outside. So when I put that back together now, I'm going to make sure it's all tucked up here, and then that issue won't happen again. So now all I have to do is wait until the lamps arrive, and then we can put it back together and test it. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so a few days have passed now, and the package has arrived with the new little heaters in. Now I've already had a look at them, and yeah, quality doesn't look great, but then again it was very, very cheap. They're probably going to be the same sort of quality as the ones that came out. The only disappointing one was one of them looks really bent, but I'm hoping it will still work. Yeah, this one here, if you have a look at this one. But I have tested them all with a multimeter and they're all working okay. But if you look at this one here, can you see it's really off center and it's got this horrible kind of like glue. So I'm sure the quality control's not great on that. You can see it's going upwards. But all it has to do is make the contact, and you know, continuity wise it is testing okay. So if you watch this now, so I've got it where the leads touch together, it makes a noise. And if I go between it, you can see now that it's making a noise. So on each of them, they are, you know, they are working hopefully as they should be. Right, so I'm just going to pop them in and put it all back together. Now they have got this kind of little bobbly bit on them, and I think this is just where it must be just filled with gas or something in the process. So I don't think this needs to be pointing in any particular direction. So let's pop these in and then see what's happening. Now obviously it's still unplugged, so there's no risk of electrocution. And remember that I've covered up that bit of wire that had the bare bit on where the screw was going into it. So that's now covered up. So that's them all in their place. They feel nice and secure. So now I need to put everything back together. So to begin with, I'm going to use this little cover, place it back in and just put the tabs back in their place. And now I need to put this on. So I think from memory it went that way round. I want to make sure all those wires are well out of the way this time now. Don't want the same thing happening again. Right, okay, so that is it back together. So first of all, let's test it out and then make sure that the button's, you know, cutting it out if it was to ever fall over. So I'm plugging it in now, and let's turn it on. Power. There we go, so that one's working, and that one's working. Now I'm going to lift it up. Fantastic. There you go. Right, let's turn that off. I can just see that this plate's a little bit loose. So I'm just unplugging it again, and I'm just going to force this in a little bit more, like so. Just because it's a little bit wobbly. So I suppose this is quite good having this grill here, because then if one of these were to explode, it'd be unlikely that anything would come through all those small holes. Alright, let's try that again now. So let's turn them all on. Yeah, I can already feel the heat. And it stops. So I'm happy that that is now fixed. I can really feel the heat pumping out of that very quickly. Very quickly. Fantastic. Okay, let's turn them all on and turn it off there. Yeah. Brilliant. So that is now fixed. So I really enjoyed that fix there. And the reason I enjoyed it is because I could get my head round it so simply. It was just a case of following the wires from here up to the switches, and you could see what each of them does. So from going to not understanding how that was working to seeing how simple it is great, and it's nice now that that's not going to get thrown away, and for the sake of spending £4.50 it is now working again. So I know they're not expensive to begin with. I know you can probably get them for around £20, but still it saves £15 worth of money. And not just that, but now this doesn't have to go into landfill for the sake of just changing a few of the heater lamps. Now, they're not easy to get to. It's a shame that you have to take it all apart. Really, it should be made so you can get to them easily, but maybe that's more a safety feature. But anyway, if it had to be done again, you can see that it doesn't take that long to do. Realistically, you could probably change them out in around maybe 20 or 30 minutes now that you understand how to do it. So yeah, I'm really happy with this, and hopefully my dad will like getting it back again. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care, bye now.